Hello, 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 and welcome back to another YouTube and Facebook Live. I'm excited today that I'm here with Tafari and Katrina from Orgasmic Intelligence is going to be joining us the last half of the show. So, we're going to be talking about yoni breathing and Tantra. So I'm going to give a few people to come on, give a few minutes for people to come on. And I see we got a couple of comments already from Vicky Washington, who says, I'm so excited for this right here. Yes, yes, yes. People on Facebook are already tagging other people. So Ted tagged someone named Jacelyn. And yes. So as people are coming on, say hello. Let us know that you're here. I'm so excited. So again, as I said, we got Tafari. He is a Tantra teacher, yoni breathing practitioner, facilitator. I don't know. There's so many different ways to like describe your work. And then Katrina, his partner, colleague in terms of teaching the yoni breathing courses, will be joining us at for the last half hour. So, did you know that yonis can breathe? Before I even ask that, do you know what a yoni is? Hello, Michelle. So Michelle sent the message that she has 2 of your books. So I know she's excited to be here. So welcome. Hi. So before we get started in yoni breathing, what is yoni? So we know yoni is that sacred space, that sacred portal. And yes, the yoni can breathe. And so I have Tafari here, which I have to say, I was doing a live with Crystal of Crystal Tantric Yogi on Instagram, and she was talking about her tantric journey. And in that, when she was talking about her tantric journey, she started talking about yoni breathing. So I was like, what is this? I've never heard of yoni breathing. So I want to do that. And so she told me his name, and it was crazy because I went and I researched and I looked up Tafari, and it turned out he was already following me. So you were already following me. You look dark, actually, Tafari. Can you turn on some light? You did look lighter, but now for some reason you're looking dark. Tafari? Oh, I think he might be frozen for some reason. So anyway, while we take care of that, let's see. So, let me just send him a message. All right. I think his thing is coming back on. There we go. Now he looks like he's back. Okay. So Krista was telling me that she's been doing the yoni breathing. I was like, I had never heard of yoni breathing, and I've done so many different tantric practices. I was like, I'm very interested. So Tafari, go ahead. Can you tell us what yoni breathing is?
Thank you. It's a delight coming on your show, being interviewed by you. I appreciate your time, and thank you. Yoni breathing. The yoni actually taking a breath and breathing. That's a metaphor. It's a poetic statement. When I first thought about it, I thought about the way some fish look when they are gasping to get some oxygen out of the water, and their mouths are kind of opening and closing. And I thought about that breath and the gills, inside the yoni. For many women, the Bartholin's opening, the Bartholin glands openings can be slits just like fish gills. And so it's a poetic metaphor to the actual technique. When done, it can look like a fish taking a breath, or it looks like the yoni is actually taking a breath. So
yeah, and that's one of the interesting things. So I've done actual yoni sessions with you, so after Crystal talked about it, she, I connected to you. I sent you a message on Instagram, and you were already following me, which was a surprise. I was like, oh. And so, Tafari, if you could turn on some light because you look dark. It's coming in and out. And so, so I've had a couple sessions with Tafari, and it's been really good. So, what he's saying in terms of like that, the fish, the kind of metaphor, and he's very poetic. So, Tafari has 2 books. Yes, he has 2 books on the Yoni breathing. And for the men, I see men on here. Welcome, Alex and Don. There is actually a lingam breathing for men, and we're going to talk about that as well. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the Yoni breathing first, and then we can talk about its brother part, lingam breathing. And lingam just basically means penis. It's, so that's the Sanskrit word for penis. And then the yoni is the Sanskrit word for the vagina. And so, all right, so let's see if that lighting looks better. Okay, so and so how did you get into this? And I just want to say again, hi to everyone. As you're coming on, if you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. Do that now and hit the like. That way we could just go ahead and get that out of the way because you're gonna love this show. So how did you, as a man, how did you come up with this? How did you think about this metaphor of the fish? And how did you decide to develop this yoni breathing technique for women?
Well, it was haphazard, and but it was intentional also. Being very sexual all my life, I wanted to be able to connect sexuality and spirituality, and so I was aggressively on that path for many years, trying to figure out how, why these 2 things are so desperate and separated from one another. And it wasn't until I started studying what they will say our sex society that I really started making inroads to that whole idea that sexuality and spirituality could flow together. Not only sexuality, but economics and spirituality can flow together. Politics
that is such a good point. Everything is connected. And one of the things that I notice when I'm working with sexuality, I see other areas in other parts of my life begin to flow. And one of the things that I like is that I love when a man starts to work on sexuality. And it's interesting that you started studying Tantra, spirituality, sexuality, African religions, Taoism, so many different things. When we talk, I could tell that you've studied so many different philosophies, so many different techniques, so many different things. And so there's men coming on this show, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know if too many men do that. So I find it interesting. And I tend to have a lot of women here on this show. And a lot of times women are saying that I've had on recently, they don't want a man who hasn't done the work or who's not working on himself spiritually, energetically, learning these techniques. So it's interesting. More and more women are starting to say that. And, I want to hear from the men. Do you find that? Do you feel that as you're coming on? Please feel free to ask any questions that you have, make any comments that you have about the topic of yoni breathing or just Tantra. So, so continue. I'm so sorry. So you were saying, I just got so excited. Yes, everything is connected. And so you were talking about that, how the spirituality is connected with the finances, politics, all of that.
And within that particular society, it's a religious organization. That's when I first started to connect the dots, because they did teach, and the leader, the founder of the organization, would occasionally bring up the Kula yoga. So I had, if he talked about Kula yoga, I know I wanted to find out what is, Kula yoga. And my heart has always been toward the healing qualities of sexuality, because I just innately I knew that it had a grander purpose than just bust a nut. So yeah, yeah,
So you wanted
yeah,
more. You wanted more than just busting a nut.
yeah. So, those teachings going into the Hindu teachings of Kundalini and Tantra and Kula and Laya and all these different yogas, even Kriya Yoga, which is Kundalini Yoga, is Laya Yoga, and studying them, I came to the point of wanting this for myself. And then when I went to really apply it, I found that going into the Taoist teachings was a little easier for me, because I was studying martial arts, and the things I was learning in martial arts and going into Taoist alchemy teachings, which is working the sexual energy into the qigong practice. I started working on those, but both of them I found were limited. I understood that it was limited because it was men teaching,
Mm-hmm.
and it had to be. And once I realized that the men had, and all over the world, that the men had destroyed the women's temples, and then everything you read is really almost every book, 9 out of 10, is written to a man, and a woman is supposed to fit. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now that's so interesting, because Tantra in of itself is naturally matriarchal, and so is Taoism. So the Chinese culture is matriarchal, but there's a lot of we've been kind of forced into this patriarchal society, or the U.S. is very patriarchal, and so a lot of these things, a lot of these healing techniques is just kind of towards the male. And so, so I see what you're saying in terms of these things were limited because it's men teaching. And a lot of the great, like Osho, he's a male, Mantak Chia, who teaches Taoism, sexual energy, is a male. So it's even though these are naturally matriarchal systems, it's become overpowered by men. So is this why you kind of taken a second a seat to Katrina, and Katrina is the one that teaches the certified yoni breathing course? Is that part of the reason?
It's only part of it though, because what I found was that the man has to take not talking about the yoni breathing class that we got coming up together, but going back to the temples being completely destroyed. And all the books being pointed for the man, and the woman has to kind of figure out what to do from a man's point of view. Once I figured that out, and then I realized that in allowing a woman to be everything that she is, that's when a man could ride the surf, so to speak. Could ride the wave, and then from that he could find out who he truly is, to allow a woman everything that she is. And it's from that yoni breathing came about. So how is there a technique that allows a woman to be orgasmically and orgasmically, spiritually tap into her chi body, her rainbow body, her voodoo body, and allow it complete exasperation, not using male techniques, using female. And that's when yoni breathing came up, and that's when I realized that, hey, as kind of as a guide and a bystander, and as an observer, and a facilitator, I'm finding great growth and chi in my own life. And that's when ancestors started coming to me in dreams and so forth, showing me other things, and not so much showing techniques or everything, but kind of saying, that a boy, you're okay. Everything is going all right. Keep this up. And the more my dreams became ancestral and allowing and kind of facilitating me to stay on this path, then I saw that, hey, it's the woman whose sexual spirituality should be the dominant thing. That the man really doesn't have the natal character that a woman naturally has to tap into a sacred sexuality. A man has to seriously cultivate to get there, where a woman really is born with that. And all she has to do is just find simple techniques and find the confidence and the safety and the security to work simple techniques, and she can have a Kundalini experience very easy. Very easy.
I've experienced it. So those of you who are coming on, share your comments. What do you think about what Tafari just said? I really want to hear from the men who are on here. What are your thoughts on what he said? And because I want to hear from other men as well. And it's interesting because since we started doing the yoni breathing, I've noticed things that started flowing in my life, like in terms of finances. More is coming to me. I'm getting more clients coming in, and so it's been amazing. It's been amazing, and I directly attribute it to the work that we're doing. Because I just see it, and I see that connection. And what's really good, I'm also very, very sexual. I've done a lot of different things. I've received, I've given tantric massage, all kinds of things. And I'm just telling you, so we had a yoni breathing session yesterday. Tafari was leading virtually. And people, I'm just going to tell you, like, it was so intense. Like, he works on you with opening your third eye, to see through the third eye. And during this entire process, like, I could feel the energy moving up. I could feel that chi moving up, my Kundalini awakening, my third eye opening. And I came so many times. I was laying in an ocean of water by the time we were done. And I was like, oh my God. So as soon as we finished, I had to be like, Tafari, hold on 1 second before we finish this call. Like, I got to take these blankets and sheets off so my mattress could dry. Like, then I can put on new sheets. Like, it was just crazy. It was like such an intense experience. And he leads through these different rituals. And, and every time I'm preparing, lighting incense, candle, and he talks me through it. And I'm going to be learning this. So Katrina, I can't wait to have her come on for the next half, and she's going to be talking about as well. It'd be nice to hear from her perspective as well. But she's going to be offering this course in September virtually, so I'm going to be doing that, and I can't wait to be able to offer this as well to guide other women through, as well as men, in terms of the lingam breathing. So we have some people. Michelle asked, "Can this technique be done alone?"
Yes, it's designed to be done alone. It's kind of like if you ever taken martial arts, taekwondo, or even boxing, or even yoga, specifically asana yoga. You never really get what you need from the teacher until you started working it by yourself. And once you start working it by yourself, and you don't need the teacher to guide you, and then you go back to class, and you're not trying to all the time focus on the teacher, put your foot just like the teacher, because you got it by yourself. Then you're in a real place to grow, and then the teacher is more of less a teacher and more of a compadre,
And I like that. Go ahead.
Oh,
I was
yoni
just going to
breathing.
say, sorry.
Yoni
No, just,
breathing is designed to number one to do alone, all by yourself, without a partner, because most tantra is going to be telling you you got to have a partner, and that's going back to the men taking over the temples and destroying the teachings, and one thing that they hated was that the women were doing all this by themselves. That was a extreme hatred that the
and
patriarchy,
jealousy.
and the jealousy. Yeah, because they were filthy rich. I mean, a temple where there's sexuality and love and great spiritual teachings. Everybody wants to be at the women's temple.
Right.
Everybody.
I can imagine. And I
They
like the
throw a
way that
festival and everybody shows up.
right. And I like the way that you set this up, right? Like you lead me, and then you have me do it on my own. We record the sessions, and then I do it on my own, and then eventually I will get to the point where I could do it on my own without even the video, the audio that you sent to me. So I think that's really good. So we have some more questions here. So strong mind and strong body fitness. Is it harder for a man to spiritually cultivate than a woman? And I think you've already said that. That's yes. What could a man do to bring them into having a Kundalini experience?
Well, for the few men who don't need a whole lot of technique, just having sex and chanting, and the next thing you know, you're there. But women, they have that naturally. It's just a woman can just be having sex with her lover and have a Kundalini experience. In evolutionary biology, they want to. There's a couple of things they put up. The one I like the best is that in our pre-hominid spaces, the man was always alert when having sex. And if you look at hominids, it's always the what we call the doggy style usually, and chimpanzees, lemurs, the hominid type creatures, and the male can look around for an attack, but the woman, her head is lowered and she's not in a place to look around, and that has allowed over thousands of years for her to go deep into trance while he stays alert. And they have found that, and with MRIs, that when a woman orgasms, the whole brain lights up, and there's and in the middle of an orgasm, there's a blank neutrality, where only parts of a man's brain lights up. It goes dink, 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 but it don't just blang. And
can you speak to what a man could do to bring that Kundalini experience? Because I think that's what strong mind. Yeah.
The number one thing is to forestall orgasm, and then cool off, and then come back and keep forestalling orgasm, and the more you forestall orgasm, then you get to a point where you can have an orgasm without ejaculation. Now, the purpose in spiritual chi manipulation, sexual alchemy, the purpose of having an orgasm without ejaculation is to get to the point where the orgasm now can become a multiple orgasm, the way the female has it. So you're beginning to have feminine energy. You're using the feminine divine. You're able to have multiple orgasms. With multiple orgasms, you can build up to that releasing of Kundalini, the way the woman naturally does it.
Right. And so through my technique, which I haven't learned the lingam breathing yet, but I do want to learn that. And let's talk about that because few people have asked. But in terms of my work as a tantric therapist, when I'm working with men to help them get a Kundalini experience, I work a lot with their breathing technique. I have specific meditations that I guide them through to awaken the bioelectricity within their body so that that energy can begin to rise and circulate. And then another technique that I do is the tantric massage. So I do tantric massage, lingam massage for men as well. And that really helps to awaken that Kundalini experience for men. Actually, if you go back on my YouTube channel here, I have a couple of videos on tantric massage, and it's with men. You see me doing that massage on the male. So that is very much, my practices with men, whether it's a client, a male client, or whether it's a lover, we do a lot of tantric rituals in terms of like the eye gazing, where we're breathing together. And me as that Shakti energy, that female energy, I'm helping to guide his energy so that he can have a Kundalini experience, so that he can have multiple orgasms. And so I agree with what you were saying, Tafari. A lot of my work as well is actually helping the person to prolong from having ejaculating, because a lot of times men, they don't learn how to separate orgasm from ejaculation. So they have sex, and the average time is 11 minutes. That's the average time. So within 11 minutes, more or less, the man is coming, and then he's tired and he's going to sleep. Whereas the woman, she still has a lot of energy because of how our bodies are different. And she's like, okay, well, I'm just getting started. And then he's like, done. So, so I also use my energy, that I have, that active energy, to help get him through that space through breath work, and I pay attention to where he is and what's going on within his body and help guide him through my breathing technique. So if if he needs to slow down, I start to slow down, and then he naturally starts to slow down. If I want to awaken that energy, then I start breathing faster. And then that energy comes off and he starts breathing faster. So as a woman, if you learn different tantric techniques, you can also help guide your partner if you want him to have a Kundalini experience. So yes, as Vicky said, semen retention. Can you talk about lingam breathing? Because we had a couple people ask about that. Vicky wants to know. Lingam breathing is next for me, and then
Vicky has taken Katrina's class on a Yonibreathing instructor. So
oh, good, and I'll be taking that. So, and then someone else had mentioned something about lingam breathing. So, if you can talk about that, I think it was strong mind, but I'm not seeing it here. Can you talk about the lingam breathing?
Yeah, lingam breathing, we also call it lingam flexing, because of what we add, this. Hey, that's Katrina.
Hey, Katrina. Welcome.
Thank you.
So just to kind of give you a little bit, we just kind of talked a little bit about what yoni breathing is. And we had a couple people in here asking about lingam breathing. So Tafari is going to explain a little bit about that. And then, here's that where strong mind said, I definitely want more information on lingam breathing. Okay, so if you could explain a little bit about that. And then after that, Katrina, if you want to talk a little bit about lingam breathing and your thoughts on yoni breathing, but we'll go in there. All right, so yes.
Well, you can go to Mantak Chaya and he'll give you some information. He doesn't call his technique lingam breathing or lingam flexing. We call our technique both lingam breathing, and we also call it lingam flexing. If the long and short of it, to put it in a nutshell, for this interview, is simply edging. You go close to busting a nut, ejaculating, but you don't do it. And then you just breathe and then let everything cool down, let everything calm down, and you do that over and over again. Now we ritualized it and put in specific techniques, to make it culturally and psychologically and medically, in our idea, very effective. But if you wanted to just chop it away, just take an axe and chop it down, all you have to do is edge, and then before you bust a nut, you just cool down, and you let everything cool down, and you do that over and over and over again. And at the end, you don't nut, you don't bust a nut. You say, well, I did it, I edged 8 times. It's been 45 minutes. Now it's time. No, you don't bust a nut.
I love Tafari's terminology.
Yeah. I'm not a medical practitioner. When I was a paramedic,
no, I love it though. I love it.
Yeah, one time I was studying to be a paramedic, and I made the mistake of saying 2 or 3 medical terminologies to a doctor, and once and they came back with so many medical terminologies, and that I realized, no, that's a whole nother language.
Right. But, let me ask you. So, in this edging, in this technique, is he masturbating, or how do you?
Yes, that's a decent word for it. In our, we're like, well, the best word, as Katrina taught me, it was solo cultivation. I used to find real poetic stuff from Taoist teachings, trimming the branch, cleaning the whatever, or polishing the jade stalk, but solo cultivation. Yeah, so and that speaks more to our technique. But again, if you wanted to just whittle down everything to just a fine point, what actually works, and then you could say it's masturbating, but you do not ejaculate. And then you relax and you cool down at the end, and you do that 2 or 3 times a week, or if you're in dire problems, you can do that daily, or once a month, and that sets you up also for a Kundalini experience, because Kundalini experience dealing with the orgasmic nature of releasing Kundalini, you have to stay orgasmic for a long period of time, and you have to let the orgasms build and build until you are in a gamma state. The brain goes into a gamma wave state. So and if a man busts a nut, and then it's all over. He'll never get to that place. So not only
can busting a nut, Emmanuel says, I'm going to start saying polishing the jade stalk.
Yeah. Oh my God, the Chinese are so beautiful in their expression of sexuality. Get some of the Taoist books for sure. That semen that a man retains, on the second part of that, it goes toward his health. It goes toward his physical health.
Yes. Yeah. So we got Katrina on here. Let's have her introduce herself. Welcome. So you've been on my show before, so it's nice to have you back a second time. So if you'd like to introduce yourself to those who are watching.
Okay. All right. My name is Katrina. I am based in the sunny island of Barbados, and I'm a sensual empowerment leader. I am a lot of headings, but I'm also the creatrix of a system called Orgasmic Intelligence. And I work with Tafari. Tafari is my mentor. He's my good friend. Everything you can think about. We work together. We study together. We play together as well too. But the work that I really, when it really started to get serious, it was due to working with Tafari. And so the work that I do, I work with women, couples. I work with men. And regarding lingam flexing is new to this region here in Barbados, and we do call it edging. Because especially in the Caribbean area, we men have never been, or I should say, seldom raised to understand the beauty in not spilling their seed. So bringing lingam breathing to Barbados, offering it to my clients. I just had, as recent as just a couple of weeks ago, a male client. He came and went through it. And yes, Don J, big up the islands. And so he went through. We did the lingam breathing. We just did one session. And with my clients, what I do is I offer them a recording, so they will take home, so they don't have to return to me unless they have the need to. And so he's been practicing it, and he called me and he was like, Katrina, so I'm calling with a report because I always follow up with my clients. And he said, so when I came to you, I came for the lingam breathing because I wanted to last longer, because I found I was I was ejaculating before my partners. Now I'm going for like over an hour, and
Oh God.
Nice.
so seeing the benefits. But for him now, I said, okay, well, you need to cut back on the practice. But he was doing it on a daily basis because he was actually ejaculating in under 3 minutes.
Wow.
During sexual intercourse, and obviously his partner was not being satisfied, at least during sexual intercourse. But now he's now gone to the next extreme, and so I've advised them, cut down. So don't do it every day. So at least probably 3 times a week, and then if it's still, then go down to 2 times a week. So it works. It's fantastic.
Wow. I can't wait to learn this stuff. So I'm going to be doing Katrina's course in September. So I can't wait. And I know that a lot of these things are similar in terms of, my work as a tantric therapist. I do the similar work, but this is just one extra technique, learning something in a different way, which is kind of cool. I think I have a addiction to learning. So, but I'm excited. I can't wait.
And the thing is that when we started, though, just to say, when we first started, Tafari and I, we partnered and started the course together. So it was a dual instructor's course. So Tafari and I did the course together. And interestingly enough, we were doing it too, approximately 3 years together. And we had a cohort of, because obviously it's women, we've only had one man so far, one brother who has signed up for the course and actually completed it. But the majority of those who join are women. And we had one cohort 1 year that they were really uncomfortable with having a male tutor as part of the course, and so that caused Tafari and I to reevaluate. And so I started to do the course on my own, but he comes in at a later date. So we introduced the students, and from the beginning, allow them to know that this master teacher, the creator of the Yoni breathing, will be joining, and I warm them up, and he actually leads them. But before, we were doing it together, and I really, I honestly miss that balance.
And that's interesting that you bring that up, because honestly, every tantric course that I've done, or Taoist course, even when I was in Thailand, I studied Taoism. Always been by men. Always by men. It's rare. I think you might be the first female teacher I have. I did have one. I did do some tantra training through Somananda. Somananda is a male, but his wife taught a couple of the courses, and that's Don J. He's done those courses with Somananda. So that was actually my first tantric teacher. So you were female, you will be second. So it's interesting because we were talking before you came on here about how it just a lot of the teachers have been male, and that's limiting. But then at the same time as well, I think that it does create a good balance to be able to have that male and female energies. So And then I wonder what is the resistance, or what could be the blockage for those women that resist having a male teacher. And so is this something that's a clear sign of what's going on in their sexual life, maybe having trust issues and different things like that, so it's definitely something that needs to be addressed,
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree 100%, because I think it's and they actually, one of the students actually did say that his voice actually triggered something in them. So I think it was some, there were some layers to them not actually wanting him on the course, and that it actually brought to the surface something they needed to deal with. Trauma, exactly. There definitely was trauma, and so not to be offensive, we during that course, we actually Tafari, we agreed that Tafari would no longer join in that course. But then afterwards, we had to reevaluate, and it said there needs to be a balance. So we let them know from the beginning that we will have Tafari join the class, like about the third or fourth class, where he's a guest and he comes in. So we introduce it gently, but we must have balance. Balance is key. Balance is key.
Yeah, and as a guest, I'm not there to take over anything. So if the ladies just want to ask some questions and I answer something, that'll be fine. If they don't, one person doesn't want a male leading them through a sacred sexual ritual, that's absolutely no problem. We just want to get you through the program and keep working with you, and so that's what we're all about.
Right. Yeah.
Katrina, you got something to say?
Yeah. So Katrina, before you came on, Tafari did explain a little bit about the yoni breathing, but I would love to hear from you as a female's point of view. Like, how do you see yoni breathing? What are some of the things that you notice women coming to you for yoni breathing to help them with?
Okay, all right, sure. So for yoni breathing, but Tafari would have taken you through the basics of it. But for me, yoni breathing on a personal level, I was led through yoni breathing for a number of years with Tafari on a personal level, and I found that women, for me personally, it helped me to connect with the core of my core on not only a physical level but a spiritual and energetic level, and it helped me forced me in a sense to communicate for long periods with my womb space. So it made me become more womb focused, and so even after yoni breathing there was still that constant awareness of my womb space, because we tend as women to cut off communication from our waist down, unless probably we become sexually aroused or we're having sexual intercourse. And in some cases, some women are, even during sexual intercourse, are disconnected. It's just like an act that please their partner, not actively involved, or like if they're going to bathe, that's when we come down to those parts. But that's the power source. Our womb spaces, every being, every human being came through gestation through a womb space. So there's no denying that it's a power source. And so for me, it helped me to tap into that power source. And so when it then became an instructor, certified, not only instructor, but in my overarching qualification, I don't want to say qualification, certification, I'd say lifestyle milestone. I like to put it like that because I'm always learning with Tantra. There are always so many levels. So that's it. I reached that lifestyle, that life milestone of being certified. Within the yoni breathing as well, that was one component of it. then I started to actually teach clients, and I then did an audio as well for purchase, where you can purchase the downloadable audio. But
Yes.
clients would come to me mostly for yoni breathing guidance because they want to connect to their womb space, or they actually want to tap into that, get down to the root of a trauma experiencing. But generally, though, women who do the yoni breathing, one of the first things that they experience is that they experience a change in their menstrual cycle. So they're a menstrual. This is when they actually, when you're actually menstruating, rather, I should say. So your menstruation, the flow of the blood becomes lighter, fewer cramps, less clots. You bleed for fewer days as well. So that's one of the first things that they realize. So what happens if you don't have a womb space? In our system, a womb space is not just the uterus. You're talking about just the uterus, but the womb space is more than the uterus. So if you do not have a uterus, then you can still focus on your womb space. But if you're speaking about, if you're a dude, we call it your dude space. So that's lingam flexing, lingam breathing is more applicable to those who have a dude space.
Yes. I want to give just a quick shout out real quick to Emmanuel Taylor. He's also a tantric therapist. I've learned a lot from him as well. So I'm just want to say thank you for being on here and watching us. So he said regarding tantra, studying tantra under women, shout out to Ma Kristen of Orange Temple in Virginia, Dr. Pam Hall in Baltimore, and Riziki Zafira in Charlotte, North Carolina, many others. I don't know any of them. So apparently I need to do some work and meet some other women therapists. But
can I share just a little bit on the sister who said if she doesn't have a womb space, and more than likely she's talking about a uterus. There's I don't know the medical terminology, but there's a ghost quality. If a person gets their arm cut off, they still can feel their arms, and they can feel their fingers cramping up from not being used. So that the spirit of your uterus is still there, and you can work with that with certain chants. Medical qigong chants from the medical qigong hospitals in China. There are some Taoist chants and Hindu chants also that deal directly with the uterus, and you work with it in the qi that's there, that's left. You know, the ghost space there.
Yes.
The fact is, you still have your pelvic floor muscles. You may not have had a total hysterectomy, so you may still have your fallopian tubes or your ovaries. You still have your cervix. You still have your vaginal canal, which is still needs to be juicy and succulent. You know, so that's one aspect.
Pudendal nerve, vagus nerve,
have your inner side. You know, so it's that's just a microcosm of the macrocosm.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm glad you added that, Tafari, because I was thinking that too. To just add that, even if the uterus is removed, or even if you've had a full hysterectomy, that energy is still there, and you know, there's just an energy field that's there, and you can even see, like, there's been like photos taken energetically of a leaf, for example, of a plant, and it's cut off. And there's a great book, Hands of Light, that this is in there, and they cut a piece of the plant off, and you take a picture, and I think it's like with the Kirlian photography camera, and you still see the energy field of that leaf even though it's cut off. And so it's the same thing with the human body. So that energy is still there, that field is still there. So and like, you know, even me, just with my work, even though it's a little different but similar, I do ovarian breathing. So even for women who don't have ovaries, you know, we still do it, and they still feel the effects and just get a lot of healing from that. So, that energy is there. So, guys who are coming on, as you're coming on, if you have any other questions, any thoughts, comments, please feel free to ask away. And if you're on YouTube, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. So, Katrina, how did you do a lot of things, and actually I just referred someone to you. I have a client that I was working with, who I was recommending for her to use yoni eggs, so I referred her to you. Yes. So she probably already reached out to you, but anyway, so you do a lot of different things as well. So you work with yoni eggs. Do you do, and I wasn't sure, do you work with crystal dildos as well?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You sell those?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
I work with crystal ones. Yes.
Perfect. Okay, because I did tell her to check with you on that, because I recommended that for her too. So cool. But then, so tell us again, like, how did you feel? How did yoni breathing transform your life? Like, what do you see change when you started receiving before you started teaching?
Okay, yeah, I actually spoke about that when you were off a minute.
Oh, sorry. I ran for a potty break. Oh, so you don't have to repeat it then.
It was a beautiful transformation. That's from the inside out. So it's a really a simple yet profound technique, yoni breathing. It is. It's something I would recommend that, because we do have women who are not comfortable with inserting a yoni egg, or even a penis, to be honest, or a dildo, or anything that's considered a foreign object. But they still need that healing. So yoni breathing then is a substitute, which helps, or complementary, even if you're working with yoni eggs, but they can still get profound healing with yoni breathing.
So I want to ask you a question, and this is personal, and I'm completely open about myself. So I did the session with Tafari, and I just want to hear your thoughts, Katrina. I did a session with Tafari yesterday. It was very intense. It was a great session, and we were using one of the practices with the cucumber, right? Now, so this was great. Like, it was intense. I felt that energy move up my spine. I spoke about it earlier. Look, I ejaculated so much, like I was in the ocean. I could have swam after that. But one of the things that was interesting during this practice, and you just made me think about this when you were saying how women could have a difficult time inserting things. I had difficulty inserting the cucumber inside of me. Now, I'm very open. I've had all kinds of tantric massage. I've stuck all kinds of things inside of me in sexual practices. But what do you think that could be about? Like, having difficulty at that time with that. And we ran off, so I had to run off. So we didn't even get to go into deep, and I didn't even get to ask Tafari that. So both of you could really answer. But yeah, what do you think about that? Like, what do you think that could be about?
Yeah, well, I always recommend that whenever a client, a woman, she is about to insert anything, whether it's a yoni egg, a penis, a cucumber, a crystal wand, a glass wand, a vibrator, a dildo, whatever, a carrot, whatever she chooses, her finger, whatever, that you spend a few minutes, few seconds to a few minutes asking permission from your womb space.
I like that.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah. So, that's beautiful. I like that.
Yeah.
Emmanuel says the cucumber didn't spend enough time in foreplay. Yeah, maybe not.
What I find with the cucumber though, did you have it peeled?
I peeled it.
Right. So what I find sometimes with the cucumber, because of the nature of the fleshiness of the cucumber, it doesn't slide. It's not as smooth.
Yeah.
So if you are using an organic one that you don't need to actually peel it where the skin is organic. You know,
it was organic. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. You can also choose not to peel it because the skin is with the friction is not as much with the skin on. But if you're doing it for cleansing, and that's why we do encourage you to actually peel the cucumber, because that the fleshiness of the skin helps. There's a cleansing process to that as well too. There's a cleansing aspect and detoxing aspect. So flesh may tend to cause a little more friction as well too. So maybe choose a smaller cucumber next time.
Yeah, I think I need a smaller cucumber.
Seek permission.
Yeah. I think I started. Oh, I think Tafari did say that. I think he did say do a smaller one next time. I think I started off too big. I had grand ambitions. I'm like, I want the biggest one.
and not to speak to your situation at all, but also there's a dynamic where once you're faced with the Kundalini expression, then it can be scary, and so you're saying, well, what am I getting into now? What's going to happen next? Poltergeist is going to be in the house kicking over stuff,
Yes.
And so there will a lot, not speaking to your situation at all, but there are a lot of women, they have to find that comfort zone first, and sometimes that just takes a lot of yoni breathing and going deep into trance before you go into any kind of advanced ritual. That's usually it. But on the other hand, sometimes it just takes scholarly academic study, to find out that voodoo isn't what we've been taught in Hollywood movies. The Hindu pantheon is psychological concepts as much as they think is actually a person with a head of a cow or elephant or something, and just good academic study along with practicing deep trance meditation can alleviate a lot of fears.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, because I do know, like I still have a lot of fears in terms of like not fear so much, but just allowing myself to completely let go and let go of control. So I definitely think that was also a part of it as well, being able to like 100% let go, because it was new. And I think that, we did a lot in terms of foreplay, Emmanuel. There was a lot of foreplay with the cucumber. And, we've done a good amount of yoni sessions prior to this. And even before we introduced the cucumber, like, must have been like 40 minutes past before we introduced that.
Right.
But I think that is still a little fear of, okay, this is something new, this is different. I don't know, just things kind of come up in our minds sometimes. So
Katrina hit it right on the head.
So Emmanuel says, I helped run community farm years ago. One summer, all the cucumbers disappeared in like 2 days. I thought it was fear until I overheard some sisters talking about cleansing. Hashtag community empowerment. Well, we know the sisters were cleansing the vaginal canals, right? That's so hilarious. So
I remember when I first started to do the cucumber and the cucumber ritual, and we call it the sister salad, and my lover, when he learned about it, and afterwards when I cut up the cucumber when we were eating, he was like hesitant. He was like, "Is this?" I was like, "But my brother, cucumber goes. So what's the difference if it has
It was so fun. Afterwards, Tafari said you could cut it up and put it in your salad and eat the cucumber. I was like, what? But I know, like I've tasted myself before.
Yeah.
You know, you have a guy go down on you. I have had guys go down on me and then kiss me. But then it was just like the whole thing of that was all up in me and I squirted all over it. And then we'll cut it up and put it in a salad.
Eat it up. Get all that juiciness. You're giving away all the juiciness to your lovers. They eating you, they're going down on
my
you.
bed.
Exactly. So you know, I mean, you might not eat the whole cucumber, but you know, a couple slices.
Yeah. And you're hoping for not. Nobody's done this in the scientific labs, and we don't know absolutely for sure. But we're hoping for a homeopathic effect, where a little bit of something and your body sees it. Like there's a little bit of your soma, your amrita on it, and so your body sees it. And it acknowledges if there's anything wrong there, your body is going to attack it. You know, the immune system, and then the from attacking that little bit that you ate is going to attack whatever's in your body that's there, and that's how the homeopathy works.
Yeah,
it does the same. It gives you a tiny bit of something wrong with you. And then your body says, I can attack that little bit. And in the process of attacking that little bit, it attacks everything else that's similar to that in your body.
I think the thing is that we haven't really learned about these things. We haven't really, growing up, we hear a lot of negative things about our fluids, right? The menstrual blood is dirty. Sex is dirty. So we grow up with these things in our minds. And so that's one of the things that I love about Tantra. I'm just learning about the energy, the health benefits of menstrual blood. And a lot of Tantras drink the menstrual blood as well. You know, they're not going to take a whole cup and drink the whole thing, but they're drinking
But there's some women that do that.
And some women might do that.
Usually they mix it with wine, you know,
Right. And so the thing is like, you know, we're just so conditioned that all of this stuff is just nasty and it's dirty and it's all of this. So when we hear something like that, like this, it just sounds so foreign. Like, you know, I just put this in here and I'm going to cut it up and eat it. Drink my menstrual blood, like what? But, you know, there's a lot of health benefits to these things.
Take it a little further, you know, guys are always wanting a woman to swallow their semen, you know. But they are totally opposed to any of their own semen getting anywhere near their mouth or tongue.
True.
And also, And
they'll swallow the female's tongue. Like if a female ejaculate, the men will swallow it. A lot of them were like, "Oh, come in my mouth," you know.
And if you're in a long, deep, protracted relationship, you know the person doesn't have STIs, and both of y'all trust each other. Then sharing each other's fluids, sexual fluids, is extremely healthy. Not only that, on the spiritual level, it's what the ancestors, the high ancestors, are gathering around and at this festival of sexual alchemy. That's all it's calling them. It's the DNA. It's the actual DNA that calls a spirit from the spirit world to enter into a woman and she get pregnant. So these fluids are 10 times, 1,000 times more stronger than chicken blood or goat blood, you know, or you take if you need something really bad in your life and you got to have it. So you go to a babalewo and they tell you, well, chicken won't do. We got to kill a ox, you know. This semen and the period blood is 1,000 times more stronger than that for dealing with the alchemical ancestral world.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That's so important. You know, it's important to have these conversations and have these understandings, you know, and this is why, you know, every Wednesday I'm having these talks. Every Wednesday here on YouTube and Facebook, I have these talks about sexuality, about Tantra, Taoism, you know, all of these different things, because I think it's important for us to be able to open up and open our minds and hear these different things to just get rid of that taboo, that stigma, that this is dirty, this is nasty, and embrace ourselves, embrace our innate healing abilities that we have that's within us, you know. So let me see if anyone has any questions. Anyone has any questions or comments as we're
Uh,
wrapping up?
I'd like to really acknowledge everything that Katrina has done as far as giving her pelvic floor certifications. She's, I mean, over the last 6, 8 years, she's gathered in the Western world the certifications and the diplomas to really, truly do amazing work. You know, I cannot talk about the menses or prolapse or fibroids or cystitis or any of that stuff. I can't talk about that. I can talk to you a little bit about something the Taoists were talking about spiritual stuff. But Katrina really is a health practitioner.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. So, you know, while we're waiting, if anyone has any other questions or anything, can you tell us about the upcoming Yoni breathing course, certification course that you have coming up? You know, when does it start? Where can people find the information? Where can people find you?
Next month, September, we start early.
September, my birthday week, 1 month. That's gonna be my birthday present to myself.
Oh, wonderful. So yeah, early next month, September, and we have a class. It's 6 consecutive Sundays, 2 hours, approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours we go through theory and we do practical. So from the very beginning, the students will be led through Yoni breathing for all 6 weeks because we want to inculcate that notion of living Yoni breathing in order to be an instructor. Because if you are not actually practicing Yoni breathing on your own on a personal level, when you go to clients, it's going to show. So we want our students from the beginning to understand the importance of practicing Yoni breathing on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. And so you can go to, and the website is up there, orgasmic with a K, intelligence.com. Go to the events page and you can sign up. It's a really good price of $250 US for 6 weeks. And these are live classes, okay? These are not recordings that you're going to get. You can ask questions live. The tutoring, everything is done live. However, you do have access to recorded classes afterwards. So if you want to review what we did, if you missed a class for whatever reason, and you get the recordings of Yoni breathing. So you can be led through Yoni breathing on your own via the recordings. You can review the classes. We also have a private classroom for all students. So all questions, assignments, information, discussions, which we really encourage, are held there. So it's an exciting 6 weeks. It's a beautiful thing to see the clients, the students when they join, and the transformation over the 6 weeks is really beautiful. And then when they're certified, but then after the 6 weeks of tuition, you're not fully finished there. That's just the practical component. That's the theoretical component. Then you have to show me that you're able to lead another woman or women through Yoni breathing. So then you have to lead three times a woman or a group of women 3 times through Yoni breathing, and that I'll be online to assess.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
Nancy, you're going to be one of my women. I'm going to lead you through this Yoni breathing. You ready, girl? So that's awesome. Let's see. Michelle says, would you suggest counseling or psychological help for people with different traumas that you come across prior to taking a class or getting?
Yeah, definitely. If they definitely know that they have issues, and I've had clients who didn't realize that they had issues until during. So then I definitely guide them in the direction, because this is online, okay? So I can only do so much. You may need that physical touch of a counselor, a therapist, So definitely I guide them in that direction, and I get clients or students from all over the world. So, I may not be privy to who's in Atlanta, who's in UK, who's in the Netherlands. So I ask them to definitely look into that. And then I also keep track. So it's not a case that we meet only on Sundays and then 7 days go and we meet again. I check in with you. We have as I said, the class, but we also like to form a little WhatsApp group and, check in on each other and whatnot. So it's not only about creating a certified instructors, but also building a sisterhood, a community.
And, if you find that someone has a trauma or anything, you can refer them to me. I specialize in traumas. I work with clients like this.
Beautiful.
Wonderful.
I have a psychotherapy background. So Tafari, you also have written some books. You have 2 books. Yeah.
Yes.
You want to tell us about that?
Yeah. Quickly, I'll say for the Yonibreathing instructors class, you don't have to become an instructor. You can sit through the class just to master Yonibreathing for your own self, for your own life, for your own health or your own spirituality. And you just take the class. You'll be glad you take it. You'll be telling your closest friend. It's a wonderful class. It always ends up like that. Everybody loves it. I have 2 books. The first book is dedicated to women. The second book is to men and couples, and it's on Blurb. If you get with me, the first book is I wrote it, and before then I had written nothing but poetry, so it's difficult to read. It's a lot of Taoist and Hindu and Kemetic terms all mixed up into one thing with metaphor instead of in prose. So if you get with me, I'll set aside an hour a week to read it with you. The second book is a little more easier to read. You kind of need to read the first book to understand the second book a little bit, though. So they're at blurb.com.
Awesome. Thank you. So there's some great things that you can find. You can check out and get Tafari's books at blurb.com. And check out this course with Katrina if you feel called, if it's interesting. I'm definitely going to be there, and I can't wait. I'm going to be doing my yoni breathing and lingam breathing. I really want to do the lingam breathing with some men too. So, so that's actually a question. And Michelle says the book was amazing, was awesome.
Oh, wow,
good, yes.
Michelle.
So I'm actually doing the readings with Tafari now. We meet once a week to read the book together, and then once a week to do the yoni sessions. So that's been good. I've been learning a lot. It's been great. And we started maybe a month or 2 ago. Time flies. I don't even know.
Oh my God.
So and it's been good. It's been good. I think it's been at least 2 months. And so I definitely recommend if you want to go deeper and do more work and reach different levels. Like I'm telling you, I've had orgasms with, not even touching my yoni or anything, just doing these yoni breathing with Tafari. So it's
and Katrina has a audio on her orgasmic intelligence page. Also, she has an audio that you can download for pennies. It's like $5 or $6 or US or something. Very, she's pretty much just giving it away.
Awesome. So good. So we have Katrina's website, Orgasmic Intelligence. Go visit there. Guys, if anyone have any other questions or comments, I want to just thank everyone for coming on here. It was great to hear feedback, hear what everyone had to say. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. Every Wednesday, I have information coming out, different lives with different people talking about sacred sexuality, tantra, Taoism, polyamorous relationships, BDSM, kink. I talk about it all because it's important to get rid of the taboo. So we're having these conversations. I also have Patreon at Pandada Prim, and where I go more into detail. So, if you want to study some more tantric stuff, I have memberships just starting at $5. Every Sunday, I have self-exploration Sundays. Every Monday meditations, and every Tuesday, tantric Tuesdays. So, so you're getting a lot of information for just a little bit of money. Basically, like Tafari said about Katrina, I'm basically giving this stuff away. So if you really want to learn Tantra and have a good base, join my Patreon. You're going to get some great information on there. You can find me as well on Instagram at Prandata Prem_Tantra or Sacred Soul Retreat. And then I'm on Twitter and Facebook as Renee Adolphe. So this was really great. Michelle says it was an awesome discussion. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for being
blessings.
on here. Yes, blessings. Michelle, come on over to YouTube and go ahead and subscribe to my channel and give me a like. I see you're watching this on Facebook. Come on over and join me on YouTube. And Katrina also has a YouTube channel. You want to share yours and talk about what you post on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, Orgasmic Intelligence. Basically, it's tips for using yoni eggs. A lot of information. How to evaluate your pelvic floor muscles, which is a very good thing to do before you actually use a yoni egg altogether. Lots of information dealing with sensuality, use of yoni eggs, pelvic floor muscle health as well too. So yeah, lots of good videos.
Yes. So Michelle says yes, ma'am. So on Facebook you should see the link to my YouTube, and just go ahead and click on that link and then give me a like, hit notification, because sometimes just in case you're not on Facebook or whatever, YouTube is good too. I have the replays on there. And guys, share this. A lot of you have been saying that this is a great discussion, great conversation. Share this with your friends. Share this with someone who you think could benefit from hearing this information, learning about yoni breathing, lingam breathing. So, someone else says here that this was fascinating. So if you found this fascinating, if you found this awesome, your friends will too. Your family will too. So be sure to share this. So Chili Fans just came on with a question. This is going to be the last question. We'll go ahead and take this. What do you suggest to a woman that hasn't had a problem having an orgasm, but suddenly cannot, but gets very close and also experience less tightness? She's in her mid-30s. It's a great question.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a pelvic floor muscle issue. So probably your pelvic floor muscles have become less toned because you don't want your pelvic floor muscles to be too, for want of a better word, too loose. You want them to be toned, and you definitely don't want them to be too tight, because when they're not toned, that causes pelvic dysfunction. Because in order to have an orgasm, your pelvic floor muscles have to be toned but still fluid, so that orgasm ripples and it lasts. But if your pelvic floor muscles are not toned, it just fizzes. Likewise, if your pelvic floor muscles are too tight, they're taut, so they're like stuck. When you have an orgasm, it just be like, and that's it. So having nice, toned, supple, flexible, pelvic floor muscles is very important. So just based on what she said, it sounds as though she needs some toning in the pelvic area.
Right. And I just want to add to that. And I agree with everything you said. Definitely sounds like that as well. But they could also be, just to add on, a psychological thing too. So like if it's a partner, maybe for some reason you don't like your partner anymore. You love your partner, but you don't like them. Maybe you've had a lot of issues in that relationship. And so our bodies also react physically to different emotions, different things that we're feeling. So that could be a possibility as well. If you've been having some issues in the relationship with your partner, and so your body's not responding differently, maybe as well there might be different stressors in your life that you didn't have before. Maybe different things are happening If it happened recently, maybe the whole stress with COVID. So a lot of times women are more mental than physical. Like
Mm-hmm.
men are more physical, so they could just have sex and like, ooh, she hot, or she ain't hot,
Mm-hmm.
but her body look hot, but her face is ugly. I'm gonna just put a bag over her and I'm gonna have sex and I'm gonna get mine. But women, well, let me use Tafari's term. I'm gonna bust a nut, and that
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
But for women, there's so many different things. So if you're having hormonal changes could do,
Mm-hmm.
affect the way you're having
Oh my God,
orgasms as
yes.
well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So look at all of those things. Definitely do, some of the what, like what Katrina was saying, look at the pelvic floor, doing that. Do
Yeah.
some testing, get hormonal levels tested to see if there's anything going on hormonally. Have you been eating differently? Has that changed? Your diet
Mm-hmm.
can also make a difference in this. And
Yeah.
then look at the psychological effects around your life. If there's any stressors,
Hmm.
what may be different in your life at
Yeah.
that time.
Definitely look at getting a review, a pelvic examination done, not
Hmm.
by your
Mm-hmm.
doctor, but by a physiotherapist who specializes in the pelvic
Uh,
muscles.
yeah.
Yes,
And
yes.
one other thing you may consider is to see if you can masturbate and still have a satisfying
Mm,
orgasm the way you
mhm.
did when you were 16 or 17 years old.
That's
You
right.
Yes.
know, and
Yeah.
that should put a lot of light on the situation. And when you talk to your counselor or psychologist or pelvic floor person, you need to tell them that.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if it's just, sometimes, I have a lot of clients that come to me who have therapists, but they don't talk about the sexual issues with their therapist.
Right.
And they, so they come to me to
Mhm.
talk about it because they feel uncomfortable, or the therapist doesn't necessarily, psychologist doesn't necessarily have that information.
Right.
So it definitely should be like a specific sex therapist or tantric
Mhm.
therapist or coach in that sense, if you're going to be talking to them, that have more education in this area that can kind of guide you with what will be going on. But
Mhm.
so Michelle says, how do you get hormonal testing? Yeah, just from your physician, your
GP.
regular
Mhm.
doctor. But also, I would also recommend, if you can, if you have insurance or you have the money, you can use your insurance and get a regular hormonal testing from your regular doctor and just tell them to do all hormonal testing. But then also, if you go to a naturopathic doctor, they also do different testing and they look at things at different levels. So, for example, I had got testing done from a regular doctor and they didn't catch thyroid issues. But then when I went to a naturopathic doctor, the levels of however they do it, I'm not a doctor, test,
Mhm.
they look at different levels. And so when I went to naturopathic, she was like, yeah, there's some thyroid issues there. So she could catch things that another doctor, that the traditional doctor didn't. But I
Mhm.
recommend doing both because then you can have two different kind of um, lab work and see. And it all depends on, what your financial situation is like, because sometimes, naturopathic doctors and those lab works are quite more expensive. And so, and you're paying out of pocket. So it depends on all of that. But if if your finances are, limited, you can definitely, and you have insurance, go through your primary care physician and you can just have them order lab work. You just tell them, that you're experiencing this and you'd like to get your hormonal testing. It's important to say that your orgasms have stopped and you want to test estrogen, testosterone, all the different types of hormones, endorphins
Mhm.
that's inside of you, and see. You know. Okay, so Chili Fans did answer. She said, I actually been trying to masturbate and it's been irritating
Mhm.
not to get to that peak, but my libido is pretty high. All right, so it seems like there's also been a change with her
Mhm.
masturbating. The libido is high, but still not getting to that peak. So
Well, psychologically, she's still in a place of sexuality when she was 17, 18 years old, but her body is not performing in the way it used to. So the hormone thing is definitely something you want, because growth hormones, if they're starting to descend, then the pelvic floor, like Katrina was saying, is your muscles whether they are your skin, whether you have gray hair or black hair, all of that is growth hormones. And they usually start waning around 35 to 37 years old. But they can start early, especially if you have a lot of alcohol on your diet or you got a lot of stress in your diet, or both.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a hormonal doctor, a doctor who specializes in nothing but dietitian. People with diabetes usually go. I've been trying to think of it the whole time I'm sitting here, but there's a doctor, a type of doctor who specializes in nothing but hormones. I'm gonna look it up.
Yeah. And you can always add it onto the YouTube and then, add it onto this link. So, this is good. We've been almost an hour and a half. So this is a good, long conversation. So, so thank you everyone who's come on, who's commented, who's asked questions. I know you got a lot out of this, and it's important that, we take care of ourselves and we do our due diligence, because and that's why these shows are important, so you can think about something that you didn't think about doing. So, think about going to the doctor, just getting the lab work done, getting hormone testing done, and
endocrinologist.
Oh yes, endocrinologist. Yes, that. You can go to that. Take a look at what's going on around your life, your stress factors, different things like that, and those are really, really important to do. So thank you guys. Chili Fan, thank you for your comments, your questions. Thank you, Strong Mind, Strong Body Fitness, Michelle, Adia, I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, and Emmanuel, everybody who came on, Nancy, Alex, Jay, if you guys are still on here, people who came on in the beginning, and Reigning Woman, thank you, and Vicky. So guys, thank you for coming out. Other people who were on who didn't say anything, this was a great show, great information. And again, don't forget to share this. Thank you, Tafari. Thank you, Katrina.
Thank you.
This was amazing. And you guys have a good night.
Too. Okay. All right.
Yonibreathing instructors class. Yay.
Yay. Yeah.